Alright, we're back at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is going to be my second attempt at racing at this new configuration of Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is the repaved, reconfigured version as of 2022. The previous surface had been paved all the way back in 2001, back in the previous configuration, but now this is sort of like a pseudo super speedway track that we got going on now. So this is going to be my second attempt at racing here. The last race ended unfortunately in a big crash with 3 laps to go. But I feel pretty confident about this one. I feel like we're going to try to at least, have a good chance of putting something good together this time around. Learned a few things in the last race that should hopefully transfer over here. As the tires start to wear out, tend to get a lot of oversteer on corner entry. The car gets pretty loose, which is kind of scary when you're in a pack racing in such close quarters as we do here. But that's kind of how it goes. We're gonna go ahead and join this race session now, and we're gonna get started with qualifying shortly. Counting down the final few seconds of this practice session. This little warm-up that we have lasts 3 minutes, and then we're very shortly going to be hopping into that qualifying session for you guys. About 15-20 seconds left to this practice. Guys are going to go out here and sort of run around the track for a few seconds here until we get into qualifying. This is the one car right here of Drew Wooten. This is our number 1 car right here, highest I rating in the field. We come in as the number 16 seed in this event, at a 26 car field. We're going to hop into qualifying here. Our strategy here is to complete our first lap along the top side of the racing surface, try to build up as much momentum as possible, and then for the second lap, that'll be our money lap. That'll be the lap we're trying to get all the speed out of it we possibly can. We're going to be right around the bottom of the track for that. But yeah, this first lap, we just want to build up our momentum. So the best way to do that is by taking the widest radius around the track. And then we will cut down low for our second lap. Biggest thing here is just keeping the wheel straight. Any tiny little wheel movement that you make is going to end up affecting your lap. You're holding it wide open around the track. The laps are going to be very competitive because everyone's flooring it, right? So there's not going to be much variation between one person's lap and another. So any tiny wheel movement is going to matter. nice and smooth along the top of this first lap. We're trying to turn the wheel as little as possible here, right? Minimum resistance on those tires. We're just going to hold it in this groove right here. Not do anything crazy. No sudden movements. So as I sort of walk you through my process when it comes to qualifying, we're going to be coming into 3 and 4. Same goal. Try to move this wheel as little as possible, right? Don't want to move. And as we come off turn 4 here with our momentum built up, we're just going to slowly glide it down toward the bottom of the racing surface. Enter well. We're going to hold it along the strip right around the bottom of the track. We're going to let it drift up slightly off turn 2. We don't want to sort of cut the momentum off by turning down too sharply, so we're just going to sort of let it drift up a little bit, let it glide back down into turn 3 and 4. Same thing as 1 and 2, right along that strip along the apron. Here we're going to sort of cut down toward the grass, try to get any few thousandths of a second that we can. 32.179, so that's, you know, not going to be a pole lap. Again, any tiny movement in the wheel is going to end up mattering. We have guys 32.150 is the top time right now, so we're about 2/100ths of a second off that. Hop out here and sort of watch that lap back as we review the results here. So yeah, really here you're just trying to keep it right along the bottom of the racing surface. You're trying to move the wheel a little as possible, right? That's all it takes, right? Any extra little wheel movement's gonna throw your time off, and as you saw, I qualified about 2/100ths of a second off the lead time as of a few moments ago. And that's just because I moved the wheel just a little bit more than those guys, right? It's these little tiny, subtle, microscopic differences that end up mattering at tracks like this. So, trying to optimize that can be a struggle. And it takes a while to get used to that, but there you have it. And you can see, right, I'm only about 15/1000ths of a second off of, 7th place. So the difference between 5 spots, right, 7th to 3rd is just, thousandths of a second, right? So that's kind of what you're dealing with here. We'll come back to grid for the race in a moment. Alright, so we're going to hop in and grid up for this race. We're starting in position number 3. So we'll be on the inside lane directly behind the leader. We're going to allow about a minute and a half for guys to enter their cars. This is a very competitive race, very high strength of field. Let's take opportunities. Damn right. This is a good chance to gain some I rating if we get a good finish. Very high strength of field, like I said, 46.85. Number 16 seed. Starting in position number 3. as this race evolves, the tires are going to start wearing. The car is going to get pretty loose. You know, we're going to be kind of slipping and sliding around in close quarters. There's going to be 2-3 lanes, and it's going to get pretty crazy. But as long as we sort of pace ourselves and we're not trying to push each other too hard, we should be able to keep it straight. As the end of the race nears, it's going to get much more aggressive, as it usually does, and that's kind of survival of the fittest at that point, and that's just kind of what you need to do to win these races. It's extremely competitive, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do and what everyone else can do. About 10 seconds left to grid, and then the pace car will roll off. Only time we'll be pitting for those additional sets of tires would be if a caution comes out. We'll then take that opportunity to put on new tires. But if the race stays green and there's not any wrecks, which is highly unlikely, we will not be pitting. We have enough fuel to make it to the end of this one, so there's no need to pit unless a caution warrants it. Liverpool FC. Back to that Ford Mustang. Try to walk through my sort of thinking as I'm going through this race. There's going to be times where I'm probably a little bit quieter because it's going to get pretty hectic out here. There's going to be a lot to do behind the wheel of this little office, you know. This is my office for the next 40 laps. Coming through turns 3 and 4, got to take the green flag. The pace car is going to pull off. We are going to be underway. Feel free to comment what you're thinking. Feel free to chime in. I'll try to reply to your guys' comments as they come in. Pace car is off. Got a really good start. Whoa. Definitely a lot going on up here. Gotta push hard. We're in the front of the field. Nowhere to hide right now. Hey, we got the lead. Caution came in as we were battling for the lead, so we ended up kind of just pulling it off there. Nice. Well, still very early, so it doesn't really mean anything, but first time I've actually held the lead in the super speedway race in a long freaking time. No cause for celebration yet, but you know, it's still something. I haven't raced, you know, just recently got back into this, so it's pretty cool. I haven't really raced super speedway races since 2021. I expect that pretty much no one's going to be pitting here, by the way. We're only 7 laps in. And the sweet, sweet sight of the pace car. I'd be shocked if people pit here, not even gonna lie. It may occur if people expect that there won't be many cautions after this. They might be trying to optimize, but I highly doubt people are going to give up their track position for, you know, 7 laps. Yeah, no, everyone's staying out. That's what I expect. So it's going to be a quick yellow. We're going to have 2 laps to green here, but we will be leading this next restart. Going to put a lot of responsibility on us to not spin our tires, right? We're going to have a lot of momentum coming from behind. As long as we can do that, we'll sort of be holding a pretty wheel until we get challenged from the outside. But in such a high strength of field race, this is definitely pretty, definitely a moment to, you know, be out front. It's definitely something you want to remember. Best way to remember it though is to close out the race, right? It's one thing to be up here for a few laps under caution, but to be able to seal the deal and get the win is certainly much more prosperous. I expect that any future cautions after this will lead to the entire field to come down pit road to put a fresh set of those Goodyear tires on. But, you know, just so early in, I made the decision, you know, we're going to stay out. It's only been 7 laps, and the field behind agreed with me on that one, so that's good to see. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're the leader and everyone behind you comes to pit. It's never a good feeling, right? Having the oldest tires and then restarting the lead. So we're going to line up here for the restart. 1 green. Lights on the pace car are going to be out.
One to go. 6 on by. You'll be lining up on the inside.
Yeah, first lap's led of 2024. Took a minute, but at least got a few under our belt there. And a pretty high strength of field race at that, so 46.50 or something like that, I'm pretty sure. Now the biggest thing as the leader when you're in this situation, right, is you're going to be getting pushed from behind, so it's going to be a little bit of a unique feeling compared to when you're in the pack pushing other people, right, because now you're the one getting pushed. And when you get pushed, right, it sort of leads to a bit of an oversteer condition, right? So your car's going to get very light in the back end. It's going to feel like your car wants to spin out when you take that push from behind. So you just have to be ready for that on the wheel so that you can correct the car and keep going forward when you get that push. The other thing is maintaining lane discipline, staying right against the paint down here at the bottom of the track. If you drift up even a little bit, right, people are going to try to sneak underneath you, and you're going to be hung out to dry going right to the back of the field. So I control the restart here, so gotta maintain pace speed here. So they're stacked up on the outside pretty well, so we're going to be sort of getting a big push here, hopefully, to help us out. But they're going to be clear in front of me. They had a lot of momentum built up on the outside. I actually prefer this though, because I prefer having someone in front of me to push rather than the other way around. Being the leader kind of just makes you a sitting duck. It's just sort of the reality of it. Little push there, love tap to get him moving forward right there. Just trying to keep our lane moving. Help my guy out here, give him a push into the lead. The outside comes on strong down the back straightaway, so you really got to push down the back. You can see they're bubbling up there right now. Looks like the guy in front of me checked up, so we're going to lose a lot of momentum here off 4. Yeah. Left a lot in the tri-oval so that we give him a chance to gather it up. So everyone's going to be coming down pit road here, I'll tell you that. Just making sure we have our tire options selected correctly. Come down and take 4 fresh tires here. We're approaching halfway. Just couldn't quite get the bottom lane moving the way we needed to. The outside was just very tightly folded together. They were doing a really good job pushing each other, and so the bottom just couldn't quite get the momentum going, especially on the back straightaway. They were coming strong back there. We want to be as close as possible here when we pit, because we want to be able to make passes on pit road if we can win the battle. So we're going to be trying to tuck ourselves up underneath these guys on pit road. Alright, good entry. Just get these 4 tires. Looks like someone back there took 2. I don't know why you would do that. We'll discuss that in a second.
Go, 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 go! Be mindful.
So very close battle off pit road there. You can see cars sort of intertwining, kind of inside of each other a little bit. Luckily on the pit roads in iRacing you can kind of drive through cars, so that helps us out. Looks like we might have lost 1 position. It was close. A little bit conservative getting into the pit box, but it's okay. Yeah, we lost a couple. There were a couple guys though that like took 2 tires, and again, I don't think that's a good idea, just because it's going to exacerbate your oversteer condition. It's going to make your car even looser, right? You have unequal tire wear between the left and the right sides of the car. That's going to cause your car to want to sort of come around and spin. Looks like we have a couple guys potentially coming back. Not really sure on that yet. Yeah, so a couple guys coming down right now. So we're going to sort of get those spots back at least.
One to go. Take time by. Line up on the inside. Catch up, 19 sharp. Catch up, 19 sharp.
So yeah, we're going to be back in row number 4 on the inside lane. We're going to restart with 20 laps to go, so we're going to be at exactly halfway when we come to the start-finish line. So far, a good race. We've led a few laps, you know, just sort of getting shuffled back, just as part of typical business, you know, just guys doing a really good job pushing on the outside. We're sort of just getting shuffled back. If we get another chance to get out to the outside lane, we'll probably explore that. But everything's sort of happening to plan so far. To delay the green weepers in 2. Weepers referring to like rain that seeps up out of the cracks in the racing surface. Weepers used to be a big problem at this track, Atlanta Motor Speedway, back before it was repaved. So that's kind of the joke that guy in the chat was making. After a big rainstorm, you get water sort of seeping up out of the track, almost causing like water spouts from the racing surface, which is kind of pretty funny to watch sometimes. Alright, pace car is going to be turning down off the track here. We're going to be going green.
Time to do your job.
Crash behind, possibly. Yep. I think they might have gathered it up though, no caution yet. Oh. Immediately filled the inside, so I gotta go outside now. Back to the inside. Another one spinning on the inside. mistake, one wrong turn of the wheel, and it's all over. Just gotta stay patient. Big check up there. Couldn't avoid it. Inside lane's checking up big time at the end of the trial heading into turn 1. I don't really like that, but it's kind of sending us backwards a little bit, though we're kind of stuck here for now, which is fine. Not quite time to make a move yet, still plenty of racing left. Lap traffic ahead, that's going to be tough. I hear outside clear. It might be wrecking though. That was very close. Outside lane coming off turn 2 looked like they were going to be wrecking. Alright. I'm committing to the outside. Not recommend making a third lane run. Ten to go. Coming to 9. Still plenty of racing left. Getting racy up here. This guy behind me really wants to make a third lane. It's not happening right now. Cover this lane here. Oh, just got turned there. I'm trying to make a third lane behind me. I'm trying to block it, but still trying. Yeah, I'll kind of let him do it though, because otherwise really rough spot, but alright, so caution's out from behind. We were 3 wide there for like a couple laps. That blue car behind us really wanted to take a 3 wide. He finally made a lane up there. I kind of had to let him. I blocked him twice, but wasn't going to be able to block him a 3rd time. I mean, he was getting pretty committed to making that 3rd lane up there, so I just decided to let him do it so he wouldn't wreck the whole field, you know. I felt like if I tried to block him again, he was just going to start doing some stuff that none of us really needed. So still up in P7. No one's going to pit here because there's only like 4 laps to go, right? So at this point, everyone wants to maintain their track position. It's going to be a crazy final restart here, but we're going to have 2 laps to go at the restart. We're going to be on the inside most likely, which is actually kind of ideal. Yeah, people are going to fake going down pit road and kind of come back up the track. Hitting 4 to go here. So yeah, we'll be restarting with 2 to go. This will be a normal restart attempt. This will not be an overtime attempt. So if the caution comes out before we get back to the white flag, we will have 1 more attempt. We're actually in the same position we were in at that last restart where you haven't really gained or lost anything. We moved to the outside lane in hopes of gaining spots, but then kind of got bogged down by the people behind me trying to make a 3rd lane, and then the inside started getting hooked up pretty good. So we ended up just sort of netting out where we were to begin with. So this final time though, I'm definitely going to want to be on the inside unless a huge run comes from the outside and it's going to give me a lot of momentum to the front. Probably just going to stick with the inside. Sort of shove as hard as we can without causing a wreck, obviously. If I see a huge run coming on the outside and I'm clear to get up there, then I'll take it. I'll have to be ready for a huge push coming though, because it's going to be a pretty big block that I'm going to have to make. And they're not going to have any mercy, right? If I block that run, they're going to be trying to drive right through me, so I got to make sure I hold the wheel steady when they give that push. But again, that's just in the scenario that there's a run on the outside, which there likely will be, but it also comes down to whether or not I'm cleared and whether or not I think that run will be big enough to help me gain spots, or if I think it's too much of a risk in terms of, you know, causing a big accident or trapping me in a spot on the outside where I won't be able to get down to the bottom to avoid an accident. A lot of those, you know, back of the hand calculations that go on inside of your head, a lot of split-second decisions that you're trying to make, especially with 2 laps to go coming up here. Biggest thing here is not wrecking, but when everyone's pushing hard for the win, it can get pretty rough. But as we come through turns 3 and 4, the pace car's going to be pulling off. We're going to have 2 laps to go. This will be a normal restart attempt once again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Good restart. Just gotta keep this bottom together. White flag. Come to the checker. Contact in front. Check the flag. P4, holy shit. How did I get to 4th? Hell yeah, we'll take it. Just dove all the way down to the grass and held it wide open. That's all you can do right there. Go all the way down to the grass, make sure no one can pass you, and just pray. Checkered flag. Not quite close enough to grab the win, but still a great result considering the last race we got wrecked in the big one with 3 laps to go. So very satisfied with that finish. We end up taking it home in P4 in the 16 car, 16th seed, mind you. About a tenth of a second back from that leader. Let's go take a look at that final restart here. Right? Sorry, right here. So I'm this, as you can see, I'm the 4th car in line on the inside. Red, flames, black, sort of base color. Come to the restart here, pace car's off. Coming into that restart zone. Green flag, we're on the gas. I got a good restart. Luckily, wanted to prevent that blue car from behind me from diving to the inside, so I threw a little block there down on the apron. Now it's just inside versus outside. Nothing much you can do but push. Down back straightaway. Again, just trying to hold it to the paint. Don't want anyone trying to dive down inside you, right? It's your biggest fear when you're in this position, right? You don't want people trying to dive to your inside. Off turn 4, coming to the white flag right here. Everyone's pushing really hard, right? All the way down to the grass. You don't want people passing you. Contact right in front of me, as I called out. Very curious to see how we end up getting 4th, but going back straight away for the final time. A little bit more contact in front. 3rd car in line on the bottom now, 16 car. Into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. One shoved up the track here. Here I'm just like, alright, we're going for the grass. See that car right behind me? 22 tried to get at me there, but not quite enough room to make it happen. Now this is a crazy finish across the line. If we go look at the leader, the 4 car ended up winning this one. But directly behind him, I mean, it was like 5 wide. Like, look at this. I'm like 5 wide with these guys behind me for 2nd place, right? We were 5 wide for 2nd. The 4 car had a pretty sizable gap. Ended up pulling that one off. But as you can see there, we did come across the line in 4th. Beating out that black car 2nd from top. And 2nd from top, I mean 2nd top of the racetrack, right? 2nd from top of the wall. But if we kind of roll this forward a little bit to where I crossed the line, which is 1 frame back, right there. I don't know, man. That's pretty close between me and that black car over there, down toward the bottom left of your screen. But it did end up giving me the 4th position, so that's good. I mean, we can take a look at the gap here. So it's scoring me as 0.103 seconds behind the leader and the 5th place car, which essentially crossed at the same time as me photo finish, 0.105. So that's a 2/1000th of a second gap between me and that black car for the 4th position. So, and that 1 extra position, you know, it definitely matters when you're the 16 seed, you know, lower I rating than most of the field. I mean, that pays off a lot. Also, 0 incidents, so ultimately a very good super speedway race for us. This almost never happens, right, where you're incident-free, pushing cars, close quarters, millimeters apart for, not millimeters, but, you know, a couple inches apart for lap after lap, coming across for 40 laps, ended up being clean, no incidents, and gaining I rating all at the same time, finishing in the top 5. That's a pretty big win for me. It might as well be a win, you know. I'll take that just as happily as I would take a 1st place finish. Now, if you talk to any racer, including myself, you know that's not actually true. either you win or you lose, but compared to the race earlier, still a much better result. Are there any other highlights that we might want to go through before we wrap this one up? Trying to think back to earlier in the race, a couple big moments, on the outside lane when sort of guys were trying to form 3 lanes, trying to, make it 3 wide behind me before that final restart. It was getting kind of stressful for me. You can see it here, right? I'm in the middle, right? Kind of goes to the lap before that happens. I'm that 16 car, 4th in line on the outside. You can see that blue car shoots to the outside, the 5 car with the 3. They're both trying to go to the front of this field. I had already thrown a couple blocks trying to prevent them from doing that. I successfully was able to block them, but I decided finally to just let them go because otherwise it was eventually going to create a big pile up. So here we go. I am now 3 wide, stuck in the middle, as you can see, right in the middle of your screen. Luckily, right there, the caution comes out before that 6 car can push through. There was a lot of momentum in that lane to try to get it going here. In fact, I think we're still going right now. Yeah, there it is. There's the wreck. There's the wreck from behind that ultimately brought the caution out, and I was just inches ahead of that 3 car that was trying to push through, or the 5 car that was trying to push through on the outside. So luckily, we kind of stifled that from happening with that caution. Ended up getting Ricky Boyd the 3rd. Ended up finishing in the 9th position, trying to make something happen on the outside. Ultimately, that caution sort of saved me from that, and we end up with a 4th place finish. I want to go back even a little bit further than that just to wrap this stream up. There was a big moment a couple laps before he ultimately got to my outside where I threw a big block, and ultimately there was a lot of contact. I dove to the outside lane to block his run. You can actually see it right there. So you can see he's trying to make this line up here on the outside. I go up here and I block it. You can see that momentarily. I'm going to switch to a different view so it'll be easier. So I kind of slide up there. I'm going to go to this view. And then he immediately dives to the inside to try to sort of split the middle. I block that. He's still trying, but I'm sort of nudging him down. I end up sort of getting in there just barely. There's a bit of contact there. Very aggressive move on his part. Very aggressive move on his part. Very aggressive move on my part to throw that block. So here he goes. I'm nudging him down, nudging him down, nudging him down. Be able to just sort of save myself and pop in line. What you don't want there in that situation is if he gets to my inside, just think about what would happen, right? If he gets to this position here, and assuming that the 3 car who was previously pushing him decides to go with him, which he likely would, then all of these cars behind this 3, they're going to follow that 5, right? And I'm going to be hung out here on the outside, and I'm going straight to the back of the pack. So I knew in this moment I had to get down in front of this 5 car. If I did not do that, I would be going to the back of the field, and I would have finished much worse than 4th position, right? So I had to pull this off. I wasn't technically clear here, but it was, millimeters. I knew I had a little bit of time. I was able to sort of straighten it out. You can actually see from my onboard camera there's a bit of a bump here, and you can see me sort of have to correct the steering. Yeah, so you can see me have to counter steer there. So I saved the car, and then we're back in line. He then again went on to try to form that lane on the outside again, and the caution saved us. And then we had a really good final restart, and we were able to power through to a 4th place finish ultimately off of this final restart. So I'm going to bring you to the end of the stream with this final restart just one last time, and then we're going to call it here for the night. Appreciate you guys tuning in to watch tonight, and we'll be back with some more action very soon. Come to the checkered flag right here. one last look at that from behind. Coming to the white flag here, so this will be the final lap from behind. Looking out my rear view. Guys tonight. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back very soon.